Hello everyone, it's Red Gadget here and welcome to another video. So today we're doing something pretty cool. We're actually initiating new players on how to play the game. So if you're new to the channel, just stick through. This is going to be a three-part series where first I'm going to show you how to make a deck, a very simple deck. In particular, this is a pretty good hint. It's a Lightsworn deck. Then I'm going to take it to a tournament where I'm going to play some games, some matches. We're going to see how this plays out, and we're going to also kind of analyze certain plays that I made, maybe some misplays even, right? And then we're gonna go on part 3 where I'll show you how to improve the deck. So what cards to add, I'll show you some of the latest lists and such. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I thought to myself, okay, how did I start playing this game? So first of all, I want to kind of introduce you to the format. So Edison is a 2010 format. It's called a retro format, or kind of legacy way to play Yu-Gi-Oh! It's not advanced, so not the current year of Yu-Gi-Oh! But 2010, so it was almost 15 years ago. And it's kind of a niche community among others, such as Goat, Hat, Tengu, and such, where we play the game in a way it was designed to play at that current year, right? At that year 2010, 2005, for example. And I didn't know this was a thing, so when I was playing Advanced, I thought, okay, there's only one way to play the game, and I kind of played through most of these formats. I played when Lightsworns were a thing. I played when for example, Shadows were a thing. Then afterwards, I don't know what else happened. Salaman Great, all of these things, all of these modern decks came. But then I realized that, okay, playing this game is pretty expensive for me. Also, the format changes a lot. So I thought, okay, well, this is not really very good if I have other stuff going on, or if the format changes, the new decks come out. I really don't have a lot of ways to really follow it, except, okay, just pay for the new deck, get some kind of guide online on YouTube, and then just play it, right? Play it for a few months and then next, right? So I didn't really see a place of kind of innovation exploration there, where I saw afterwards that there were kind of these retro formats. And the deck I remembered was Lightsworn. So I remembered Lightsworn were a thing, so I thought to myself, well, is there a Lightsworn kind of deck that I could play in a kind of an Edison format? And I thought to myself that yes, first there's pure Lightsworn, but there's also Christia Swarm, which I decided to go for, and it was my first deck in Edison format. And afterwards, I graduated onto other decks. I kind of explored the format a lot, played many tournaments. But I'm back to kind of show you how you can start with Lightsworns, because it's a very simple deck. It's a very fun deck, actually. And it can give you a lot of performance for kind of a very simple archetype that is basically milling. It revolves around milling. So it means sending cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard, and at the end phase or during the middle of your turn. And by sending these cards, you get to kind of fulfill a condition for Judgment Dragon, which is a boss monster. You get to kind of get the nice effects of cards when they hit graveyard, such as Wolf. And also, all of them have this kind of random effect of sending to graveyard, but they also have good effects on field. So it's a pretty good archetype. And the reason why I went for it, for kind of newer players, is because I realized that not everyone has the same access to cards, and it's very easy to just send someone like kind of the newest Vayu Turbo list or the newest Hero Frog list and tell them, okay, just buy these cards on Card Market TCG Player, and that's it. And although that kind of works out for kind of adult and maybe some people in kind of first world countries, if we call it like that, most people do have access, but some people don't have access to kind of online shopping or such, and the only thing they're restricted to is just their shop. So I realized that the only way to play Edison by buying things at the shop is to play Lightsworn, and you can play Lightsworn by buying 3 of these structure decks. They're called Realm of Light. This is a modern kind of monster on the top. There's some modern like advanced cards, but there's also a lot of Edison Lightsworn specific cards from which we can create a deck. So with me here, these are German versions. I hope that's gonna be fine for us. But 3 structure decks that I bought, and they are $5 each. They were on discount. These are pretty old editions. But I think they don't go up to maybe like $10 a piece in other countries. So from $15 to $30, you can get a deck that I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you afterwards in the deck builder. And we're going to take it to a tournament. We're going to see how it runs. And I do think it's pretty fun for new players to play Lightsworn, because it's a very dynamic deck where you kind of use the milling effect a lot, and you kind of get to drop your boss monster, and it really kind of shows what the Edison format is like. It starts off pretty slow, but by the end of the game, a lot of players are dropping a lot of powerful bosses. So with that being said, let's open the structure deck and we'll see what's inside. Okay, so here we are. We got the 3 structure decks, and you really need 3 because in each of them you get an individual card, and sometimes you just get one of them. So you need 3 because in Yu-Gi-Oh! We can play kind of 3 of a particular card, 3 of the same card. So if you have 3, you kind of have a play set of basically each card. And this is kind of done in order to establish a good ratio of Lightsworn monsters, and so when you mill, you kind of hit a lot of Lightsworn names so you can drop the final boss monster. But yes, these are in German, so I'll make sure to put here on the left or on the right an English version of the card so you can kind of read it, but I'll also explain the effects of what they do. As you can see here, it's German. These were around $5, as you can see here. But yeah, as I said, they don't go up to maybe 10-ish. So these are usually on discount because they're pretty old now. So yeah, let's dig into it. So let's open I think it goes on the bottom. Okay, what do we have here? Put this on the side. Okay, this is nothing. This is a playmat that you could use. Let's open it. And I guess some rules. Yes, some rules. And then on the other side, it's a pretty cool playmat with all the Lightsworn monsters. And here we have the deck. So let me open it. Okay, so the first guy, he's not allowed in Edison, so we're just gonna move him on the side. This one is not really relevant for us, so we're also just gonna move it on the side. This one is also not allowed. And he is played in a hat format, but it's not really relevant in Edison, although it would be pretty cool if we had him. This was just support that was added after, so we don't really need that. Then we have Alexandrite Dragon. He's a pretty cool monster, but he's not relevant for our deck. Here is the boss monster of our deck. What he says is you need to have 4 more different Lightsworn names. So for example, he's a Raiden Lightsworn, Minerva Lightsworn, right? So these are all Lightsworns and they have their own names. So you need to have 4 or more different of them in the grave, and you can special summon him from hand. And then you can pay 1,000 life points to basically destroy everything on the field except him. So you could basically drop 1 of them, pay 1,000, destroy everything, special summon another one from hand, and there you have 6,000 damage on board and nothing basically to stop it. So he's very, very strong, and he's semi-limited, so that means we can play 2 of him in Edison. Then we got the cool dragon level 6 tribute summon Lightsworn. He's pretty cool. I believe he pierces and he mills and he gains attack based on how many different Lightsworn names you have in graveyard. We might play a few of him, but just because we don't really have other cards that go into this deck. Usually he's not played, but in this version we might. And then we have a Celestia. This is one of the strongest Lightsworns there are. And what she does is when she's tribute summoned, so when you summon her by tributing a Lightsworn, you get to target up to 2 cards on the field and destroy them. And this is the effect that she has, but the cost for it is to send 4 cards from the top of the deck to the graveyard, which is very, very strong. So it is a kind of destroy 2 on summon and mill 4. We'll definitely play her. Then we have Jane, a very strong normal summon, level 4, 1800 attack, and when she attacks, she gains 300. So when she attacks, she's at 21, but when she kind of defends, or when she doesn't attack but is attacked in attack position, she will be at 18. Sends 2 at the end of the turn from the deck to the graveyard, so mills 2. We have 2 Janes. Then we have a Lila. Lila is a very strong card because she lets you destroy a spell or trap. So she removes back row, and she mills 3 in the end phase. So 1700, destroys spell or trap, and mills 3. We will play 3 of her, definitely. In one structure deck, we get 2. Gareth, he doesn't mill by itself, so it's a very bad starter. But if you have him on field, if you mill a card during the end phase, he gets to mill 2 cards as well. And if you mill a Lightsworn name, you get to draw a card for each, basically. So if you mill 2 Lightsworn names, you get to draw 2 cards. So if you have him plus a Lightsworn, for example, imagine Lila and Gareth, Lila will mill 3, and then Gareth will mill 2, and if he hits a few names, you get to draw the same amount. So very, very strong. But if he's just alone on the field, he doesn't really do much. Wolf, it's one of the payoffs of the deck. He cannot be normal summoned, and he kind of must be special summoned if sent from deck to the graveyard. So imagine, you summon Lila, destroy your back row by putting it in defense. That's the effect. You have to put it in the defense to destroy a back row. And then you say end phase, you send the top cards of the deck to the graveyard, you send the wolf, and wolf brings himself back. So he special summons himself. That is pretty strong. 2100 attack. And of course, level 4 light as majority of the Lightsworns. 1 Erin, when she attacks a defense position monster, she gets to shuffle it into the deck. And at the end phase, she mills 3 cards. Lumina, you can discard 1 card to special summon 1 level 4 or lower Lightsworn from the graveyard. And at the end phase, she mills 3. And the effect is once per turn to discard and special. But imagine one of the most strongest combos is Lumina plus Gareth. Because if you discard a card to special summon Gareth, if you have 2 of these on the field, at the end phase you will mill 3, and then you will mill 2 again. And if you mill 2, you will draw. So she can automatically special him from the graveyard. So if you mill him, Lumina gets you access to Gareth, and Gareth gives you access to draws. We have 2 Lumina, but sadly she is limited in Edison, so you can only play 1. Then we have Arcus. Arcus says that neither player can target Lightsworn monsters anywhere, and so in the graveyard or in the field, and he mills 2 in the end phase, and he has a very, very strong defense, so oftentimes he's set. Shire, she's a fairy, so she's used in Christia Sworn with the fairy variant, but she gains a lot of attack if it's late game and you have a bunch of Lightsworn monsters in graveyard. She gains 300 attack for each, and she mills 2 in the end phase. Raikou is one of the staples of the Edison format, and when he's flipped, so it's a flip monster, so you have to set him first, and when he's flipped, you get to mill 3 cards and pop 1 card on the field. So you destroy 1 card on the field and you mill 3. Pretty sweet removal. Raikou can remove basically monsters and spells and traps, while Lila can only destroy spells and traps. We have two Raikous, and then we have Honest. So Honest is a very, very strong battle trap. Also a hand trap, because during the battle phase, if you attack or the opponent attacks into your light monster, you can drop him and your monster gains the attack of the opponent's monster. So your monster is almost always stronger. Then we have this guy, but he's not really played, and I don't think he's even allowed in Edison. Same for this boss monster. This, I don't really know what it is, and it's not really played. Same for these cards. A lot of these cards that come in here are not really used, sadly, because it's just kind of here to have a deck that works, but specifically for Edison, it doesn't really work this way because the cards have to be released up until 2010. Zephyros as well, pretty cool card. Necrogardna is the one that's being used. Sadly, it's limited to 1, but you can banish it from your graveyard. So if you send it in the end phase, for example, by milling cards, you can banish it to negate the next attack. So if your monster is on the field and you mill Necrogardna, the opponent will attack your monster, you will use Necrogardna to protect it, and then next turn, you can use the effect of the monster again, for example, Lumina to bring back, or if Lila wasn't used, you can put her to defense to destroy a spell or trap, or you can just mill in the end phase. So that way you protect your monsters. The field spell is not really used. Solar Recharge, you discard one Lightsworn monster, then you draw 2 cards, and then you send 2 cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard. It is one of the strongest draw engines in the Edison format. And this card is allowed to be at 3 in Edison format, where you can basically just discard a Lightsworn, draw 2, mill 2. If you draw into another recharge, another one of these, you get to discard again, draw it again, mill again. So by turn 1 or 2, you send 4, 5, 6, 7 cards from the deck to the graveyard, and you drew 6, 7 cards, for example. Very, very strong combination with any of the Lightsworns that we have. It's an in-archetype kind of a draw card, which is extremely strong. We played 3 of these, and a limited card, Charge of the Light Brigade. You get to mill 3 cards from the deck to the graveyard as a cost, and then you get to add any Lightsworn you want from your deck to your hand. So you Kier, example, is a Raikou, but you could add the Lumina usually, and then you normal summon the Lumina, discard something, special summon Garrett, as I explained. You get to mill, 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 and if you mill, you can hit Necro Gardna, you can protect with Honest. So a lot of good things can come from a single usage of this card. Monster Reincarnation, we will play this. Discard a card to add a monster from the graveyard to the hand. Oftentimes this will be Judgment Dragon, as that's our boss monster, and if we mill it, we can easily get it back to our hand. Foolish Burial to send the card from top of the deck to the graveyard. From anywhere in the deck basically to the graveyard, any card you want, and it's limited to 1. This card special summons a Lightsworn from graveyard to our field, and we get 2 mill cards, if that's correct, although there's another one. I don't know the difference. I believe this is the one that special summons, and this is the one that protects on battle. But we will play both of these, as they are vital to our kind of strategy of milling and also protecting and bringing back Lightsworn monsters such that we can gain the powerful effects. Then we have the Summon Negate, which we will not really use. You get to tribute a Lightsworn to negate a summon. And we will use this card a lot, and it discards our whole hand, and we get to add light monsters for the same amount we discarded. So we could just send a bunch of cards we don't need to the graveyard and add 2 Judgment Dragons, for example, from our graveyard to our hand that we milled from our deck. So sending boss monsters from deck to the graveyard is worse than drawing them, but if we send them, we can just easily get them back with this card and the Monster Incarnation. This is a battle trap that we will not really use. It just we could play one if we want, but we will just probably keep it in the side deck. Just increases the attack of our monsters. And then this card is not used in Edison format, but it's pretty cool because if you kind of have it, you can play it in other formats, and it's a pretty strong card in hat format. And that's pretty much the deck. So we're gonna hop into the deck builder on Dueling Book, and I'll show you what kind of deck I created with this. So stay tuned for that. Okay, and we're back. So here we have a full deck in front of us. It's full of Lightsworn names, and that's very good for us because it means we can more easily drop JD. We're playing some names that are maybe not even played in kind of more standard builds. And we have a lot of redundancies with the 3-offs, but we really want to make sure that our boss monster kind of JD pays off because we're not using synchro monsters in the extra deck. So our game plan is to resolve Celestia here and to resolve the Judgment Dragon. And the deck goes as follows. 2 Judgment Dragons. It's our boss monster. It's what we want to do. Then we have Double Honest. Mandatory at 2. One of the strongest cards as well. Lets us beat over any monster on the field. So, for example, if the opponent summons a Stardust, that's usually a pretty hard for us to out in this deck because you have Raikous that destroy, and Stardust lets the opponent kind of prevent certain cards being destroyed. We have Lila that destroys. But if we have Honest, we can easily beat over the Stardust because if we attack into it, we drop the Honest. Our monster gains the attack of Stardust, and we can easily get over it. Then we have 1 Necro Gardna. Sadly, it's limited, but it's here. Protects us from battle. 3 Wolf. It's also our payoff. And It's a card that wants to be milled in the end phase in order to kind of special summon itself and go in for more damage. Then we have Lumina and Garroth. So these are the one-offs, like Lumina, Garroth, Aaron, and the big dragon. I don't know how to pronounce this. But the Lumina is at 1 because it's limited. If we could play 3, we would definitely play 3. Garroth is at 1 because it doesn't really mill by itself, and it usually wants to be sent to graveyard to be revived off of Lumina. Then we have Aaron. It's a one-off because it deals with the set monsters or defense monsters, but this doesn't really come up all that much. And the big dragon is there just for the name. So yes, it inflicts piercing damage, it mills 3, and it gains attack. Could be very, very strong late game, but usually just here for the name and to be revived off of the card that special summons the Lightsworns from the graveyard, which is this one. And then we have 2 Arcus. He prevents us and the opponent from targeting any Lightsworn monsters. This is very, very strong against, for example, Icarus Attack, Dimensional Prison, cards like that. Arcus is very, very strong against, and he has a very, very strong defense, so it's going to buy us some turns until we get into our final boss monster. 3 Lila, mills 3, very strong, destroys a spell or trap, clears way for Judgment Dragon as well. And then we have 3 Jane, just a beater, just a very, very powerful monster. Mills 2, that's pretty sad, but it does get over and compensate for it with the strong attack. Then we got the Celestia, as I said, one of the best tribute summon monsters in the game, well, in the format. And then we got the Raikou that destroys a back row. So the combo you would want to do usually is you would want to set the Raikou. If it lives, you want to flip it, destroy the spell or trap that the opponent has, and then you can tribute it for a Celestia and destroy their monsters, for example. A very, very strong combo. In the process, you mill 7, and you already you already have a name in graveyard because Raikou is in the graveyard. So if you mill 2 or 3 more names, you're very, very close to dropping JD on the same turn. Then we have a Solar Recharge. As I said, very, very strong card for drawing and milling. And then we got the charge to search any of our level 4 monsters here. Usually it is Lumina, sometimes it's Lila, sometimes it's Jane to get over stuff. Could be even Aaron, could be a Raikou to out problematic back row. Foolish Burial, send a wolf, immediately special summons itself. Or we can send Necroguard not to protect ourselves from battle. Monster Reincarnation, we can discard the cards we don't need to add back Judgment Dragon, add back Lumina, add back Celestia to tribute summon over something. Glorious Illusion, it helps us special summon from grave, so if we mill the big dragon guy, if we mill, for example, a Lila, Jane, all of these cards, when we special summon them back, they mill in the end phase, they pop the back row. So it's just a kind of, imagine it as a monster reborn. And finally, Beckoning Light, it lets us replenish our cards in hand by discarding a bunch of cards that we don't need and adding back the power cards. So as I said, Judgment Dragon, Honest, Lumina, all of these cards are very, very strong. Celestia. If we add these cards from our graveyard to our hand, we can easily OTK the opponent. And then for the side deck, double Dragon, because why not? Double Aaron for back row decks. Another Arcus for the decks that target a lot, target monsters. For example, as I said, Icarus Attack could be an option. Although against the Blackwings, I would not really kind of consider siding in the third. 2 is definitely enough. Double small Shire. She's pretty cool, but she doesn't really have much utility. Then we got the trap, the counter trap that negates a summon. Very, very strong. I'll consider against which decks this could be sided, but 1 or 2 could be definitely strong because if you just negate the summon, the monster doesn't even kind of hit the field. So you can definitely kind of stop some power plays with this. For example, in the mirror, right? If you use this on the Judgment Dragon, it just dies, it goes to the graveyard. It doesn't have the right to activate and destroy everything. This protects us from battle, could be strong against some very aggro decks. And then the skill successor for some attack modification. The side deck is more or less, it's more or less there to kind of see what options we have between the games. But the main deck I'm pretty confident in, and I do think it's pretty cool for the kind of the first deck in the format, something to kind of start the format with. We'll definitely improve it in the part 3 of the series, but yeah, definitely stay tuned. Stay tuned for the tournament that I'm gonna play with this deck, and we'll see how it performs. I hope it's gonna be well. So stay tuned for that. And with that being said, please like on this video, subscribe, and leave a comment about what you think about this deck, and do you think I have a chance against the current meta. But yeah, let me know, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.